So one day, I got an email to the Film and Photo Unit website from a gentleman in Ottawa. He says he's been trying to find out more information about a camera that had been sitting in the basement in the east end of Ottawa. There we go. I just want to take that. There we go. This is, if you actually, this is a good reference, as your father is holding, right there, is holding a Bell and Howell Eyemo motion picture camera. Through the serial number, I was able to confirm that the camera was part of the inventory at the Canadian Army Film Unit in November 1943. So that shoots 35mm motion picture film. On the side of the camera, and this might be a little tough to see, but on your side, Harold, but right on this side of the camera, so probably both of you are not going to be able to see it, but on this side here, for inventory, they would draw a maple leaf, and inside the maple leaf was a number, an inventory number. Now, I'm going to let you guys hold it because your father would have shot with this. Now, the picture that you have, he has it on a tripod. Here's the wind here. This is hand cranked. So it's spring loaded. And this is the shutter. And if you, right now I can see the maple leaf with the, so
I see something, but I
hold it.
there it is. Yeah. Right here. Goes up there and down here.
Can you?
Oh yes, yeah, I could.
Can you see it now?
Yeah.
So it's number 47. I wasn't able to tie the number to a cameraman, but I was able to tie it to the film unit.
Maybe that'll pop up sometime.
You never know. You can hold it. I just wanted to give you an idea. This is what they used.
You can imagine running with this thing, eh?
And it would have had, I have it on this, but it came with a grip.
Oh. You wouldn't hold it in one hand.
And you would have had to frame your shot, check your lighting, dial in the right aperture number or convey it to this lens, because this is where the shutter is and this is where the optical. So there's what they call a parallax difference where what you're looking at here is off center slightly over here. So they would have to compensate with this one. But they had to do that with the f-stop and focus it. So what they had to do a lot of times is they would focus with this lens, and then if they wanted to shoot with that lens,
oh, mackerel. What a piece of equipment.
They would put it into the gate. This is where the gate would be. Did you want to see about just how heavy it is?
Oh boy.
Can you imagine?
You'd have to eat your Wheaties in the morning then.
Well,
Can you imagine?
Know what? One thing I remember about my dad working in the yard, he was buff.
Good shape.
He was in good shape.
I've heard.
Smokes there. That's heavy.
And I don't know how true this is, but
I
a lot of
gotta
it, these cameras, the combat cameras that were used in the Canadian Army and other armies, after the war, a lot of them ended up in Hollywood.
Yes.
And they were used chase scenes and crash scenes. They could use them over and over and over
Crash
again.
cams. Yeah.
And that's the camera, isn't it?
Well, yeah, that's
that
a type.
model.
Yeah. Because they weren't.
Oh,
isn't that incredible?
Sturdy.
I even showed that to one of the veterans, Norm Quick,
way.
and he said he couldn't recall it being. They did come in a single lens, the first ones they used, but as the war went on, this model, the Eyemo had what they call a spider. So they had like multiple legs kind of thing, and they were able to go from a long telephoto to smaller ones. Now, I put two that are similar, so that what I would do is look through here, focus, and then, figure out your f-stop and that. And then if I wanted to shoot, then I would just move it into the shooting position. So this is the shutter right right here.
A lever under there?
Yeah, and this is how they would be. They would be looking at it and they'd have their hand wrapped, and see my thumb?
Yeah.
Just push it forward. It doesn't have raw film in it, but it does have a roll of film in there.
Roll of film.
So this is what it would have sounded like. So if you want to just...
Oh, that's cool.
And it would go for about, well, you could almost count it, but maybe 20 seconds or whatever. It would go for about 20 feet. And then
Now,
you
would
had
that
to, and
consume
then you
the
had
whole-
to crank it.
Oh, you had to rewind.
It takes a 100-foot roll, which is like a minute and a half. And then they would have to reload. Did you want, here, why don't you try it, Jack?
Yeah.
So grab it like, and then just push that forward, yeah. Push it down kind of thing.
You got me.
Cool.
And here we can also show and tell this way. Okay, so my threading isn't very good, but you can sort of see the innards. That here's where the gauge is. I might have to let. And you can see it's getting all bunched up, so I did it wrong. So that would have been an error. I wouldn't have made a good cameraman. So see, it's all bunched up now.
You would have been sent back for more basic
I
training.
would have been canned.
Don't worry about that. But the bullet flying over your head and around your ears.
No way.
Oh, what?
Actually, you know what? Let's leave it. Because
That isn't a problem because I can crop it all around, but
Yeah, if I know the Army, they would have taken these things apart, loaded them, unloaded them, taken them apart.
Works.
yeah, part of this is that.
yeah, this is what doesn't work. And so this is how they. So there's a little spot there. Okay.
Yes, I see.
And this goes in there.
She is so deaf.
And it's just a ratchet.
The car.
And they would have had to do that.
So there's a clock spring in there?
Yeah, exactly.
I just,
Wow.
And up here you can choose, there's like a footage count.
Okay.
That would go around, and then here you can set like 24 frames per second or 18. And then of course there's a magazine here, which in the picture of your dad on the Jeep, there's a magazine, like a 400-foot roll. This takes a 100-foot roll natively in here, but this is a gate that goes into where that roll was.
Right.
Goes through that and would have come out in that. So you'll see on some of the newsreel footage they had the big
Yeah.
Yeah.
attachment. That's for large rolls. So say a 400. So they would get like 5 minutes out of that large roll without having to stop, especially if it was electric. Without having
So
to
their
reload.
unit, most of these guys are sergeants. The cameramen are
The
sergeants.
cine guys were all sergeant.
There were no privates or corporals in them.
No,
They were
just the driver would have been a private or a corporal, and then they would have had, and the photographers were always, they were at the rank of lieutenant. They had what Norm called the Eisenhower Pass,
Yeah.
and it gave them access to the front lines in that.
Really?
Your father would have had an Eisenhower Pass.
Wow.
And that's actually something special that could be potentially in his personnel file.
Holy smokes.
If you call up his file, they might have a photo in there. Usually it's just a portrait. The thing gave them the passes so that they would have authority to move to the front, and even give direction to some of the generals in that. There's a famous story of, I can't remember the
Move
veteran's
your
name.
regiment there so get a better angle?
Well, there was one where he approached Churchill, or Monty. And Monty always knew where the camera was. Montgomery.
Dad talked about Montgomery, yeah, because I didn't know this stuff when I was a
He
kid.
always knew the camera. And in one particular instance, he actually went up to him and he's very humble. And he says, no, I don't say,
because
And he
that's what
said,
your hey,
you know, the light is here, it would be, and he would say, what would you suggest? What would you suggest? He said, it would be better if you face the light here. And he says, absolutely, done. And he just put it over and told all the troops how to swing all over so that he could address them so that the camera was getting the best light. I can't remember the cameraman, but he would.
You gotta write a book.
You know, well, there is a book. I'll have to get you guys a copy. Or
That's amazing.
isn't that something?
This is some wonderful side step to my trip here, learning all that stuff and seeing this and hearing this. It's absolutely amazing. It's an emotional roller coaster for me right now.
They would always say, I'm glad I was shooting with a camera and not a gun.
Yeah, well, that save you some nightmares maybe and some bad memories.
Oh, well, they had lots of...
Bad
They
memories.
still experienced the war like anybody else.
If I had one of these, I think it'd be in the center of the living room.
I have mine. That's where that is in my living room.
This is a treasure.
It's a treasure.